All right, welcome everyone. My name is Dharm, and here's another one of the pandemic-based intuition workshops where time goes on and on and on in Twilight Zone, and so does the workshops. And somehow there's just more and more topic to talk about. One of the chapters I like to address in intuition is about receiving answers. And like, how do you get answers? How do you engage your intuition? And that actually depends on your emotional desire. It depends on what you emotionally really want to know about. So your guides are actually responding to the emotional desire and not to what you think you want to know about. So it's helpful for you to become conscious of what you really are passionate about. And maybe we'll ask some questions so you can become clear on what is your true motivation for engaging intuition, for even being here, why you're interested in learning more. You may have something else in your head, but something else, that's another emotion coming out of your soul. And once you know what your real motivation is, then you can at least start to change it if you don't like it, or enhance it, make it stronger. Hi, Jess. Hi, Michaela. So it's being recorded, by the way, just so you know. And so this is why when we have something going on, an issue, a topic, a desire, it's really important to get really, really riled up emotionally about it. It really helps. This is why, if you really want to know the truth about something, learn about it, research about it, think about it, journal about it, talk about it, engage your passion and your desire, engage your soul, get your emotions going, because that's how you then start to really desire answers. And through that, then you start to receive assistance, depending on what you're asking about it. So maybe we could practice framing what are some good questions we could be asking our intuition. That could be some of the practice we do today. So can each of you think of an issue or a desire or a passion that you would really like to know more about? Well, that's really, is there something that's constantly taking up airtime, that you constantly think about it, you constantly keep going over and over a particular situation? You may just as well engage your intuition about it. So do everyone have something? Can you think of something? Okay, good. So keep that in mind, and then maybe we can use one as a practice for everyone, or as we come up with questions, you can start to apply the questions to your own situation. And with intuition, as you know, as we do every week, it's about the questions. You got to ask the questions, because that is the opening to your wanting an answer. And what you're asking for example, if you ask a question and you receive no answer, emotionally, you don't want the answer. So that will block you. And what I received from our guides just now was that if you engage the issue emotionally and then name the fears. So if there's an issue or a desire you've come up with right now, make sure to name the fears that are coming up in it. Somehow, if you don't name the fear, it will block you from receiving any answer because you don't want the fear triggered. So that will close you up as well. So it always helps to list out a lot of our work, as you have, if you remember with us working together, it's about naming the fear or naming the emotion. That's like half the battle. And then after that, it gets a lot easier. You feel lighter after. Okay, so what do you feel is your motivation for wanting to connect to your intuition? I'd like to hear from everyone. and be as emotionally honest as you can connect to. For example, one of my earlier motivation, probably still is a strong motivation for me, is for engaging intuition, is to avoid frightening situation or frightening outcomes. I want to avoid a bad outcome. I want to avoid a negative, painful situation. And that's why I was engaging my intuition. That's always been a big desire for me.
For me, it's wanting guidance.
Wanting guidance, yeah. And what do you hope that will do for you? What would that give you?
It'll give me more insight into making decisions.
And what do you get to avoid?
Disaster, or failures.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah, the emotional motivation is I want to avoid feeling a certain emotion. I want to avoid having to feel embarrassment, failures, losses. That's your motivation. I want to avoid these emotions. Yeah. So, so it's good to know your real motivation for asking. Keep me out of trouble. That's my real motivation. Or I want things to be easy. Just tell me the answer. Just tell me what to do. I don't want to have to think and figure it out. That's not a motivation. Just tell me what to do. That's a motivation as well. And it's good to know what your real motivation is, because if your motivation is not the way your guides would perceive how to solve a problem, then you're going to attract other spirits who may have good intention, but, you know, like, just tell me what to do. Oh yeah, there are 2,000 of them ready to tell you what to do. But your spirit guides will never tell you what to do. So you're going, okay, there's a motivation that I need to purify. I need to clean up. And then another motivation. So, okay, Jess and then Casey. Jess, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it gives me what I want.
Give me what I want. Okay.
But
my magic genie.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Beautiful.
Or beyond what I could even imagine, and be like, oh yeah, that is something that I want, but I couldn't even, I was thinking so small.
Yeah.
But when I follow that beyond logic and reasoning, it's just like, what? That actually just happened? That's real? Holy.
Yeah. It can be beyond, exactly. Without dreaming high enough, big enough that our guides can help us. But I also have this desire that I want my intuition to be like my genie. Give me what I want. I'm going to make a wish and you're going to make it happen. So that can be motivation as well. I guess I'm connecting to my feeling that I want things to be easy. Okay, good to know. Sandy and then Casey. Hi, Sandy.
Hi. Hey. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, good to have you back.
Great. For me, it's a way of developing self-trust.
Okay. Yeah.
Kind of connecting with myself to develop self-trust and to trust in others. I often struggle with knowing, which direction do I go? How do I, do I choose A or do I choose B? Because I'm just not connected with myself enough to know. So,
okay. Good answer. Thank you, Sandy. Casey.
So you mentioned one of them, which was the tell me what to do. Give me an answer.
Yeah.
Tell me what to choose. And then also I've been becoming aware lately of it helps me avoid feeling alone.
Yeah. Okay. This is where it gets tricky, and it's good to know your real motivation. But this is where it gets tricky, where you're like, well, I am not alone, but I do have loneliness. So if I'm just seeking companionship, if I'm asking questions just so I can feel like there's somebody there, then what caliber of a spirit am I going to attract? And that will have an influence. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Others? Jill?
Well, it kind of encompasses like everybody else that has spoken so far, but it just comes down to that I want to have a relationship with my children.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a purifying desire that, but then why do you want to have a relationship with your children can then start to get purified.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you. Michaela.
Hey, lots of what's already been said, but also this desire to feel magical and special.
Yeah.
And also to not make mistakes, so to just have that clarity of to know what to do and there's not going to be any mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's this thing, to not make mistakes, to avoid mistakes. Maybe we should talk about this one, or we should get some answers about this one. How do our guides feel about us asking them questions so we can avoid mistakes? Would they say, that's a waste of our time, or are they happy to help us do that? I'm interested in their viewpoint. Okay, Steph?
In addition to everything that's been said, my desire comes from like having that guiding light so that I get to avoid feeling wrong about the choices in the direction I want my life to go in. So it kind of falls under making mistakes.
Okay, thank you. Kathy? Kathy C, sorry. Kathy C. To Toronto, Kathy.
Okay, everything that everybody said. I'm playing around with something like, I feel like when I'm in my intuition, my life is a flow.
Yeah.
And but I'm also like, I'm addicted to that flow. Like when I don't have the flow, I feel like something's wrong and I'm not living my life properly. Yeah. And so I'm kind of wondering what's really going on with that.
Okay, good question. Okay, Kathy S.
So obviously a lot of the things that have been said as well, but also to be able to go into the past, feeling like I'm facing the past not on my own, that like you're saying, there's a guidance happening with that.
Yeah.
So it's trying to avoid the real fear and of reliving trauma.
Yeah, but then maybe what you're asking for is courage. Give me courage to face it. Yeah. And have courage knowing you're there.
Yes.
So again, there's a pure version of the same desire, and there's an impure version. Okay. And then the more you know what impure desires you do have, the more you can go and clean it up. So it's good to know. It's good to know if there's something not pure about it. But it sounds like what you're asking for is pure by this point.
Mm.
Yeah. Because there's a pure desire to heal. And you want to confront something that's uncomfortable. Instead of avoiding it. You're not saying, just take it away. You're saying, I got to confront it. And how can I find some help? And the thing is, we have a lot of help. They want to help us. It's a matter of our motivation being the right motivation. And what does that even mean? Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. Thanks.
Yeah. Lauren, yes. Do you have?
I had a situation today where I was feeling very uncomfortable, confused, and a lot of anxiety. And I asked one of the questions that we spoke about on the 18th about, how do you feel about me right now? And how are you loving me right now?
Yeah.
And it was amazing. So it went on for I'd had that anxiety since I went to bed last night.
Yeah.
And it took almost a crisis in my family for me to sit down and say, how do you feel? And once I asked those questions, it was incredible the clarity that I had within moments of what my part was in it, that I was running around, not being able to face the emotion, but like in a lot of fear. Yeah. And once I had the courage to feel the emotion, then I could actually connect with my kids and parent from that position rather than parent from a little kid myself.
Yeah.
So that was very, very helpful when I got into, I think it was what you were saying, understanding a pure, I had a desire not to complicate a situation that could have got very, very nasty or very harmful for my kids. And anyway, so it was very helpful, and to ask those questions.
But there was pain, and when you're in pain,
there was pain.
Desire for help.
Yeah, so using it for that place, like I was just at my wits end. I couldn't. I was like, it was like having a puzzle and not being able to find the piece.
Yeah, I'm lost. Help me.
Lost. Yeah, I had tears. I was feeling the anxiety. I sat and meditated for an hour and a half in total throughout the day, and I kept trying to figure out what was going on for me. What was I projecting? What was I bringing? What emotion was I bringing to my family? And So, and I was controlling as well, out of that place of confusion.
You were aware of your addictions. You were aware of like, okay, this is the addiction driving me. I'm feeling the pain of it. You were also asking for the cause. Give me the truth about the cause. Now that is a favorite question. That'll take you straight to the top. Give me the truth about the cause, my responsibility, or any cause. Give me the truth. It will definitely take you there. And of course, you were already emotional. A lot of the emotions already got riled up. You were already emotionally honest. So yeah, definitely. And yes, in those moments, then you are reminded to ask those questions that then allow them to give you the best assistance. The time when I feel inspired, I feel as if somebody puts this little nudge, and then I'll feel like, ask this or do this prayer. Like somebody's actually telling me to do that prayer. And I'll be like, oh yeah, I should do that prayer or ask that question. And I will ask and engage on that, and the situation will move. Because free will has to be respected. But they're allowed to suggest and influence us. Very, very good example, Brent. Good on you.
Thank you.
And I'm glad that the situation has resolved somewhat for you.
Yeah.
This evening, yeah. I'm glad.
Yeah. Thank you.
Grace, do you have something to add? Yeah.
Not really. It's pretty much the same. I think my biggest motivation is I just want someone to tell me what to do. Because I don't want to make mistakes. I want to avoid self-doubt.
Oh yeah.
I want validation. I want confirmation that what I'm doing or thinking or behaving is correct. Like in the just the truth is loving or whatever. And I'm looking for help. I'm looking for guidance because I don't want to feel lost.
Okay. Okay. So understanding your true motivation matters a lot in this discovery, as well as then purifying. It's like, what are the questions that does get my guides involved? They really want to help us. They are helping us. They're just waiting for us to ask. So what is it that I should be asking for? How do I get that help coming into my life? How can I allow it? Because they can get in there and literally remove the pain from you, remove it from your soul, or like just carry you through the processes. There's a lot they can do, but there's a place you need to get into, and the moment you do, suddenly everything just takes off and everyone is there, and it's like, what did I accidentally do right? What just happened here? So that's the kind of stuff that keeps me excited. So, okay, we have this thing about not making mistakes. One of our biggest motivation in engaging intuition is tell me what to do so that I don't make a mistake or so that I don't fail. So I'm really curious. It's like, is that a true motivation? Can that be purified? What are we avoiding by wanting that? And is that something then, will our spirit guides help us if that's what we're asking? Is it in harmony with their job description? So that's what I'm now. See, this is where I go, oh, I wonder how they feel about it. And how do I frame these questions? So let's come up with questions. What do you guys think? What kind of questions should we come up to discover this issue of I don't want to make mistakes? What do you guys think?
What is the cause of why I don't want to make a mistake?
Perfect. What is the cause for my fear of making mistakes? Okay, Casey?
There was one actually that you had said earlier about how do you feel about me asking questions in order to avoid making mistakes?
How do you feel about me asking for help to avoid making mistakes? Okay, good one. What else?
I think it's less of a question, but more of just a comment. I mean, what is a mistake, and from whose perspective is it a mistake? Right, because I think what we define as a mistake generally is something that turns out not to our expectations, but who's to say that our expectations is what is good for us, or what is putting us on the path that we need to be on. So maybe we're just seeing it from our limited viewpoint versus really allowing the work to be done at a higher level. So I don't really know.
And how did we learn to be afraid of it? How did that come about? So, because ultimately we're just repeating what happened to us. So something happened to us as children where something was called a mistake and something awful happened around it, which means how we were treated, which have now created this response. So I really like that. What is a mistake? What is your definition of mistake? Is the right one to ask. Thank you.
And I like what you said is, why are we afraid of mistakes?
Yeah, but I'm asking our guide, so I want us to actually ask our intuition to help us figure out why are we so afraid of it, and should we be afraid of it? Maybe we should be afraid of it, and maybe there's some mistakes that we should be really terrified of making, and some we should be relaxed about. And let's learn from our brothers and sisters who has figured this out and teach us. Good question, Sandy. What other questions could we ask if we had to explore this with our guides? So what is the cause of my fear? How do you feel about me asking for help to avoid making mistakes? What is what is your definition of mistake? Should I be avoiding making mistake? Okay. Or we could also ask, what are the advantages of making mistakes? We can ask, what could we be praying for instead of avoiding making mistakes? Like, what can we change that desire or that motivation to? Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 questions. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 people and 6 questions. So I'm going to assign 2 of you with the same question. You can go ask and find out, and then come and share the answers you get from our guides. How's that? Okay. I think Jackie is here as an observant. I'm not going to give Jackie any assignment. I just wanted to sit back and just watch and learn. So I'll give everyone some questions to ask. All right, so we asked some questions. We divided up the group. And Kathy C., what is the cause for my fear of making mistakes? What did you get?
Took me down a bit of a dark hole.
Yeah.
I got, first of all, I started with ridicule, fear of embarrassment, being judged. It's from childhood. It's from just being human. Then the trajectory went down, like if I make a mistake, there can be loss.
Yeah.
Or I could go down the wrong path in life. There's a life versus death even feeling in making a mistake potentially.
Yeah.
For the loss, there's loss of love and loss of respect. And I'll lose something forever if I'll lose something forever. And then the going down the wrong path was like just the pain of that, and like not being Dharma, like not being on my path in life. If I make the mistake, if I do something wrong, I'm gonna somehow fall off that path, and then I'll be unsuccessful in the eyes of God, which I think would represent the Father.
Yeah.
The space of my Father. So that's kind of where I went so far with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot of fears. So the way you were treated in your early childhood when you had certain experiences that were probably not even mistakes, but the way you were treated has now created a lot of fear. And in the past, when those mistakes happened, you had losses, or the fear was put into you that, it could be devastating. And yes, that is true. We do make choices that can have devastating consequence, but all those fears are now locked up inside of you. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That's really good insights. And Michaela, and I can't read my own handwriting. How do you feel about me asking for help to avoid making mistakes? Who was the other person I asked? Michaela and Virginia. I think I could read my own handwriting. Okay. Do you guys want to go ahead? What you got?
I got that they can't reach me when I'm asking from that space because it's an addiction.
Okay.
And then I got this sense that they're really still there and they're trying to reach me and they're doing whatever they can to get me, but I'm not actually open to them in that moment. I don't want their answer.
So like you opened the wrong door. Okay. Thank you. Very good answer.
Yeah.
Virginia?
They feel that I'm avoiding learning is what I'm avoiding.
Okay.
And the same thing, that they can't get to me, they can't come to me when I'm in this fear and addiction.
Okay.
Because that's where the request is coming from.
Bingo.
In that place.
Brilliant. Thank you. Okay. And then Jill and Grace, what is their definition of mistake? Who wants to go first? Grace?
I had trouble with this one because I have a lot of fear around making a mistake.
Yeah.
So I was cycling through fear, and then I was getting angry, and then I was like, because I don't want to feel fear.
Yes.
But eventually, the answer that I got was, so a mistake implies an action. So an action was taken. So you got some kind of feedback from an action, and you have to take the negative connotation out of it.
Okay.
So in the taking of an action, it's a good thing because then at least there's forward momentum.
Yes.
So you're moving forward versus just like sitting stagnant or yeah. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you. What did you get, Joe?
I just have to say that I love the fact that out of all of the questions, I started this one and then you got me to answer it. So that's brilliant. I also love the fact that Grace picked off where I stopped. Anything that is outside of God's laws. So, and then I asked for clarification on that because that sounded really heavy to me and very strict, and
that's like every day of my life.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and what came was like learning from them, trying them out, exploring what it means to me or to you, like exploring them, which the image that I got from that was the playing. So like imagine building a sandcastle and you're almost done and it completely falls apart. And that's, it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe I need more water. Like instead of taking it as the negative connotation, having it like learning from it and learning from that play. And then my ears clogged up and I stopped, and apparently Grace took over for me, so which was fantastic.
That's really good. Good on this, guys. Okay. So Casey and Bern, should I be avoiding making mistake? Casey?
I was gonna let Bern go first, but I wasn't sure if she was unmuting or muting. Did you want to go, Bern? Or?
Go ahead, Casey.
So similar to Grace and Kathy, I went into an emotional spiral for this question. I felt immense anxiety right away. So I just kept asking, okay, what do I feel now? What do I feel now? And then I got to a place of, I felt shameful if I can't do something right the first time around, like perfectly the first time around.
Yeah.
Once I found that feeling, I asked the question again, should I be avoiding mistakes? And I just got, well, no.
Okay.
Is that it? And I got nothing else. So I thought, okay, well then how can mistakes help me?
Yes.
And then with that question, I was shown myself, funnily enough, Jill, in a sandbox, playing, I was like 4, playing with these little plastic dinosaurs we had, making like mud pies and sand castles, and like just playing, just figuring out like, oh, that's too much water. That's not enough water. Oh, it fell down. It fell down. That's funny. Try again. Like just purely playing, and no judgment on myself, no fear about I'm going to get in trouble, nothing. It was just purely play and figuring out how physics worked.
Yeah. Time to love math.
Right? Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Bern, what was your experience?
So should I avoid making mistakes? Should I be avoiding making mistakes? So I first of all wrote down, well, I was teetering back and forth. Yes, no. I was like, it was like a tug of war. So I put yes and no. So no, keep up the feedback loop which lets me know my guides can guide me not to make the mistake any longer. So it needs to repeat until I'm clear on that, until I'm clear. So yes, once I'm clear, once I have a conscious realization, it's been clarified, once I understand the law of attraction and my part in the situation that's causing pain in another or causing pain for myself, once we can recognize that, or I recognize it, the feeling, the fear, the anxiety, then I think it's natural to avoid making the mistake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So learn as much as you can from each experience.
Yes.
And outside of that, why make them? Or the other version of the answer is, well, that's how you play and learn.
It's how you play and learn. Exactly.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautifully said, Casey. Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what are the advantages of making mistakes? Steph and Sandy. Sandy is still trying to call in again. Steph, what did you get? What are the advantages of making mistakes?
I like that it just kind of keeps building from what everyone else has said. So this is where we learn what not to do and what you don't want. And then I got understanding the contrast of sin and love. And I asked them to expand. And it's personal responsibility and free will become developed with understanding the scope of being able to act in harm or in love. And then I went back into, well, what do you mean by not what I want? And then it's getting razor focused on what you really want and how you physically want to live. Making mistakes is course correcting your path to building a relationship with God, yourself and others, nature, and the environment. If you've never made a mistake, how would you know if you're being loving or unloving?
Wow.
No, that's cool.
Okay, that's really good. Yeah, and it's about, what was the first part again? Can you repeat what was the first part of the answer?
Yeah, for sure. Learning what not to do and what you don't. Like if you think you want what you want, but then after that whole learning process, you realize you didn't really want that.
Yes.
Right?
And it's something about God's laws, right, that you said earlier?
Yeah, and then the understanding the contrast of sin and love.
There you go.
And yeah, that was pretty profound as well.
Yeah, that's a good answer. So that's a huge advantage if you look at it from the perspective of learning about love, sin as in being out of harmony with God and the subject of love and truth. That is considered sin.
Yeah, that's what I specifically meant by just saying sin and love.
I just want to make sure it's in the recording.
Oh,
it's clarified because we're recording. Okay, thank you. Okay, very well done. Is Sandy back now? Okay, I will wait till she is able to call in again. She's calling in from Mexico. So what could we be praying for instead of praying, please help me avoid making mistakes? What could we be praying for instead? Jess and Kathy S. Oh, Kathy, you are mute, sorry.
Do you want to go? Do you want to go, Jessica? Is that okay? So we could be asking questions such as, or praying for, what would serve my highest good and the good of other people?
Okay.
What is my true purpose? Ask for clarity and truth of my true nature. Or how can I face my past mistakes without shame and guilt?
Ah, beautiful.
Right.
Oh, love it. Okay.
And
how can I face my past mistakes without shame and guilt?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
And the last one was, how do I accept my shortcomings and be gentle with my choices?
Brilliant. That is such a beautiful thing to ask for instead. instead of saying help me avoid mistakes, because what you're actually saying is there's pain from my past that I haven't come to terms with, that I don't know how to process. So by rephrasing a question, you're saying, well, how can I be gentle and loving and not treat myself badly? And then really, really, really learn everything I can about sin and love from that one or two or hundreds of the same mistakes we made. Okay, that's really good. Jess, what did you get?
I got, so what could we be praying for instead of avoiding making mistakes?
Yeah.
I got praying for forgiveness for past mistakes, harm that we've caused others and ourselves.
Wow.
And so the fear of making a mistake for me is fear of being punished. But that came from my parents. Whereas God doesn't punish, God forgives. And then something else that, like, after that, I was like, okay, well, what else? And it was like, don't ask, like, tell me what to do, like, make the choice for me. And you ask, how do I do this?
Yeah.
And I've been doing even just like working on the computer with all this technological stuff. And I'm like, you're like, I don't know how to do this. And I'm just like talking to myself and be like, I don't know how, I don't know. And then I was like, how do I do this?
Yes.
And then be like going down this internet path and be like, okay, how do I do this? And so, yeah, not tell me what to do, show me how to do it.
Yes.
Like how.
Okay. Very good. Wow. Okay. And what I got for that last one, what could we be praying for instead of avoiding making mistakes? I got, be brave to see the full extent of each decision, option, choices, and outcomes we made in the past. Be brave to see the full extent of it, so that we're not so afraid of whatever mistakes we've made. We're afraid of seeing the fullness of it. Oh, that's a big block for me right now. And also to ask, what is my true motivation? What is my actual motivation in whatever it is I'm trying to do or asking for? Because if you can see your true motivation, you may choose to not act on certain things. You can see like, my true motivation is power or control, or, like there's nothing pure here. I should not take this action. My motivation isn't real. And also, how can I purify my desires? Whatever desire I have, how can I purify it? How can I make my desire more in harmony with God, with love and truth? So those are what we could be praying for instead. And when you can see, you see, sometimes different people take the same action and yet they get different outcomes. Well, the law is responding to the actual motivation, the real motivation in your soul. So it helps for you to just sit and ask, what's my real motivation for what I'm doing? Or look back in the past and go, what was my real motivation for what I was doing back then or not doing? Because a lot of time we don't act at all in fear of making mistakes. We don't take any action. And from what I've learned, it's better to take some action and end up not being a good choice than not taking any action. Because like what some of you got earlier, you're taking action, something's happening, there's momentum, there's movement. And now this can be feedback, there can be outcome, you can learn from it. So, wow, okay. So now we know, instead of asking to not make mistakes, you can ask other questions instead and change your motivation for engaging your intuition. I think what we're getting is, go back to your past mistakes that are still haunting you and go feel about them. So that, because until you feel about it, you still have fear of making a mistake, and therefore it is running your future. Your going forward motivations are about avoiding feeling what's already happened in the past. It is running your life. So you may just as well take the time to say, okay, what are some of the mistakes I've made in the past that is still eating away at me. Let's process the experiences. Because even if you just say, okay, I won't be afraid of mistakes anymore, I'll just stop asking, well, the motivation still exists. You're still avoiding the pain of it. So the motivation is still there. So probably a good idea to, even if you just don't process them all, I'm thinking right now going, what if I just make a list and just start writing down all the things that I think are mistakes? They may not be, but those are mistakes that are eating away at me. And if I start writing them down, half the shame and fear is gone right there, just by naming it, it's like a self-confession. You're doing a huge confessional to yourself. That could, and then you can start to, it's like emotions get knotted up inside of you and you don't even know what you're so anxious about. At least you start pulling them out. And then that'll free up a lot of bandwidth inside of you, in your soul. And then you can start the journey about it. Especially because, like what some of you got, God doesn't punish us for our mistakes. That was our childhood experiences. That's not how we're treated when we go to God about the mistakes we've made. So it's amazing. I feel like you guys got some really good guidance today. You guys felt your guides felt a lot of celestial spirits today helping us out with the questions. So, okay, going forward, what do you guys want to do? What do you want to do around mistakes then? What do you feel like doing? Going forward, if instead of asking, please help me not make a mistake, what would you ask for instead? Michaela?
I got this really clear feeling of just trying to be present in the moment and asking for like the motivation of the moment, or what's the feeling of this moment, and just really desiring to just be present to what's going on, and
okay,
to not load it in all sorts of different directions.
Okay, to just go, what am I really feeling right now in this moment?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And how do you feel that will help you? How will that help?
I feel that will make me more open to my guides.
That's a good point. Mm-hmm.
Like that, and to become more emotional and more open to my emotions.
Here and now.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. Scary, but I like that. It's challenging my control addiction. But I'm not in control right now, so it could be exactly what I should do. Thank you, Michaela. Casey?
One of my favorite ones is the "What's my motivation?"
Yeah.
Is the first one that I thought of asking. And then there was another one. I think this is coming up more for me personally right now around channeling other spirits to help other spirits, and asking the question, how can I best help these spirits in harmony with God and God's laws? How can I best help this person? How can I best help in harmony with? Yeah.
That's brilliant. Okay. And as you do that desire, then you'll start to get other prayers that you could be praying instead as you move forward. That's really good. Thank you. What else? What other questions would you like to be asking you? What do you feel is a good use of your intuition? It's like, I got this issue. We do need to take care of ourselves, and we do have issues in our lives. That's selfishly for my own benefit that you can ask your guides to help you with. What could you be asking for instead? Steph?
Well, for me, I have to acknowledge that because my life is in full stop, that it's like, okay, what is the big block? And I liked that you just started with write it all down. Just get the shame out of the way. Like, just put it all on the table. and just even start to see what I'm working with, so that I can go back and have that dialogue with God and my guides and just go, okay, which is genuinely a mistake? Like, what lessons do I have to learn? What do I do? And then the very real Jess's question of how do I do this? Like, how do I go forward? Like, my life is in full stop right now. Like, how do I take that one single step forward? And it's terrifying. Like, I'm rather enjoying living in this fear of doing nothing, but that's not reasonable. If I ever want to have a relationship in love and truth. So, I mean, at some point, I'm going to have to find that courage and the faith that this is okay. So,
good one. Thank you, sir. Okay, others? Kathy C. I love having two Kathys here. Kathy C, how do you feel?
What's your exact question?
How do you feel going forward about what do you wish to ask your intuition for? Instead of saying, help me avoid mistakes, what could you be asking for?
Right. Something about self-forgiveness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Asking, asking to be gentle with myself and forgive myself for the perceived mistakes that I've made, so that I'm not as frozen in. Like you had said, you need to take some action, and there's certain areas of my life that are just kind of over there on hold, and they've been there for a long time because they're frozen there. So I need to. It would be nice to kind of free that up.
Thank you. Okay, I really enjoyed today. This has been fun to come up with a topic, and then we all just come up with questions and we all share our answers together. This has been great. We'll see if that's what happens Sunday coming up. Okay, any comments? Sandy, the whole thing was recorded and I'll send you a copy, so you get to catch up.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, my connection was really weird tonight. Thank you.
Sandy, did you receive the answer? What are the advantages of making mistakes? Would you like to share?
I did actually. So the answer I received was that building intuition. So what are the advantages of making mistakes? And the answer was building intuition. And then I asked how. So how does that work?
Yeah.
And the answer I got was you learn to recognize what is a yes and what does a no feel like, and that is your intuition.
That's
is knowing that. What does a yes feel like and what does a no feel like? Yeah, so I thought it was a very, very insightful answer to contemplate. Yeah.
That's a really, and it actually answers your own question when you started today, where you're going, how can I learn to trust myself? Well, here we go. If you see mistakes as advantages and explore them, then you'll get to know the feeling. That's really good.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. I hope to see some of you Sunday. Some of you are sleeping at that time, so I won't see you. But well, it was a short one today. And hopefully